welcome back everybody. It's Mutator once again, joined by PunkUser, and we're actually going to be looking at basically the same game, but a different match that we looked at last time. So this is going to be the TMNT match versus Wu-Tang Clan. So yeah, we'll see. I'm kind of excited to see what happens here, just because from looking at the stats, I wasn't sure what had happened. So I'm curious to see what happens here.
Yeah, definitely. And on the positive note, the colors are much easier to see on the overhead map than last game.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. What did you think of the last game? Obviously referring to the Xerxo My Goals versus ULMS, in which ULMS actually managed to tag all the balls and win. And we were talking about this map slash game type, how we're not too keen on ball games in general, but also this keep across the river map as well. But I don't know, it was actually kind of interesting last game.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think the real turning point in that last game was the rush on the keep there, and I see some chatter in the chat in this game basically saying that archers suck. Rushing with melee and pus is the way to go on this map, and that's kind of what happened last map. So we'll see if that happens again this game.
Very interesting. Yeah, it looks like WTC, led by Thor, they actually picked up a number of archers. And TMNT, led by GKG, actually opted for 0 archers, it looks like. A lot of pus, though.
Yeah, the interesting thing
Looks like a
is that they
melee
didn't.
rush.
Yeah, they didn't max
Oh, here we go.
pus on
Some mortars.
Thor's team didn't max pus, so we'll see whether that backfires on them.
1 warlock, 3 mortars apiece here. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that there's a lot of... it's unpredictable, right? Like, this game is unpredictable. You can look at a game, a map slash game type, and think in your mind, yeah, I know how this is going to work out. But you can be surprised. There's a lot of variation in how things work out, since it is a tactical-based game.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm assuming on this that that is the maximum artillery, that you can only get 3 morts and 1 warlock, because otherwise with so much melee running around on this map, I would assume that you would get more. But yeah, I guess that if that is truly the maximum, that kind of explains why
I'm going to
big
assume that too.
rushes are popular.
But, look, we got 3 whites for WTC, and we got double that for TMNT. Very interesting.
Yeah. I like TMNT's thing better with that. I mean, on these maps where you're expecting masses of melee, pus is really pretty invaluable.
Most definitely. I mean, the Warlock and the Morts can definitely put a damper on like a pus rush or something like that. But if you play your cards right, that pus can be invaluable.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many more. Like, there's relatively few of those. There's only 4 units that you really have to avoid.
And it looks very interesting. I mean, TMNT, they're going to pick up their home roots. And it doesn't look like WTC is even aware that they have roots at home to pick up. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, like, what I think we agreed last time, like, what we expect on this map is just, since there's an even number of balls, you're going to have 1 at home. You're going to have 2 that you get to and try to dribble back home and just set up D in your fort. Both teams start out with a fort and just kind of set up some units there and try to, defend those entry points. It's kind of how we expect it to go. But with a rush, interesting thing is with a rush, you might be able to surprise them. Like, they might dawdle a little bit trying to dribble that home, running into a tree or something, and you might be able to get the drop on them. So that's a kind of interesting thing to keep in mind as well with GKG's trade here, as it's essentially a rush trade.
Yeah, exactly. As he's saying, I hope they got archers. That may sound kind of funny, but when you're doing a trade like this, every archer means that they have 1 less melee unit to block your rush.
3 unit trading points each archer, and if you get the drop on them, you can kill them pretty easily, and that gives you a pretty good advantage.
Yeah, I think I've even heard GKG say You're like, yeah, when you're getting rushed, your archers are the things you should throw out front to take the brunt of it while you try to dwarf them,
Really?
type thing. I mean, that's certainly in 1v1. That's definitely true, right?
I never even
Because
considered that.
you know, if you lose your dwarf, you usually lose to the rush. If you lose your archers, who cares? The problem, it's not always true in team games because the game can go on and you might need archers later in the game. But
Yeah, good
definitely
point.
you want to protect your sort of AoE artillery units.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting point that I haven't really heard articulated before. I'll definitely keep that in mind though in the future. Looks like although their rush force, I mean, Dak is kind of in the backfield, and it looks like they got some stuff south that they're sending up, but Arsenic is kind of moving back on the TMNT side of the map as he sees that Shadow was kind of crossing, but I don't know. Now he's going to turn around because he sees Shadows going back. So it looks like Dak might be in a tough spot here with Murkerdon.
Yeah, there was an unfortunate pus dud there that they would have taken out a mortar with.
Yeah, it looks like they did lose a goal. I didn't quite see what happened. But there's a couple of goals. Looks like Kron's moving in, and Kron's a very capable player, so that could be tough to deal with. Looks like Arsenic is going to join his teammates here across the river and kind of bolster them just a little bit, so it's going to be a little bit tougher for WTC to deal with that.
Yeah, here's the thing though, they're facing off with those north units, but there's a huge rush coming in from TMNT on the south side.
Yeah, definitely. Osmodian and GKG basically orchestrating a flank, as looks like
I don't think they've noticed it yet, and the problem is they have no no defense for this in their base.
Dud there. I think that was Kron.
Yeah, all of their mortars and their warlock are up on the north side. They got nothing to defend this rush.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's no artillery on the south end there for WTC, as it's all kind of tied up here, dealing with. That's a very interesting thing, like kind of a bait and switch. You make them send their reinforcements to one area, and then you move in on the other area. Right. Although for some reason Eastwind, Eastwind's Dropbox is updating. Lost that goal.
I see. This is good for the amount of credit you've been giving him. I got to come up with some excuse for every time I do something stupid. So it looks like they did. For some reason, South has just held up. They didn't keep pushing there, which has allowed.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would have expected. Maybe it's because they did have some pus on that location.
And I mean, you got to realize too, we can see everything, but they can't. They don't know what's behind there. They
That's true,
probably thought there's morts and stuff back as well.
And the other thing is Osmodian's just now arriving with his mort.
Yeah. What is going on with this warlock here?
Not too sure. Who's warlock?
Thor's. Sort
I don't
of
know.
Way
He wants to get a pot shot off, but looks like Murkerdon almost lost his mortar dwarf. If he can get a few kills, that mortar dwarf will pay for itself, since it probably should have died. It managed to dud there though. Another Puskull going down. So these morts doing a pretty good job of keeping those Puskulls at bay.
Yeah.
Looks like Arsenic is attempting to move
Honestly,
in.
on this one, you're tempted to baby the warlock, but I think morts are more valuable because the problem is so many Maul, it's just too easy to block warlock shots, right?
Thor actually with a nice snipe there on that mortar dwarf, as it looks like Osmodian and GKG are going to run in on the south entrance there and essentially
good puss. Good puss on Osmo stuff. But again, the problem is even if this warlock tries to take a shot, there's any number of units that can just block it.
Yeah.
That's
the thing is, warlocks are easily blocked, and mortar dwarves shoot in an arc, so they go over units, and warlocks don't actually do that. They need a clear line of sight. So Thor's warlock is going to go down, as it's 72-77% so far. TMNT is on top.
North just took a pretty savage warlock shot up there too.
From deck, I imagine, as they are pushing on the north as well. It looks like Osmodian and GKG are going to be turned away and basically chased back whence they came, as Arsenic is going to attempt to move up into that space created in the middle entrance there and maybe try to get a shot off with that mortar dwarf. Though he needs to be a little bit careful, as there's Kron there to meet him.
5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, all of a sudden this looking a little bit better for WTC. They managed to sort of hold their position there.
Although on the south, it looks like Osmodian is going to clean up, looks like Thor.
Yeah, chase too far.
However, Arsenic is going to retreat from that position. He's going to try to snipe maybe something, but retreat from that. As there are some archers here from Flatline, who's actually in this game as well. I think he's a substitute. Arsenic almost losing that Mortar Dwarf. Uh-oh, some friendly fire there from Kron, although he does get a kill or two. And once again, full frontal assault here from TMNT. They're going to go ahead and try to run in on all 3 entrance points.
This top rush is going to be hard without pus.
Another unfortunate dud there by WTC.
Yeah, I've been seeing those.
Quite a number of those.
Whoa.
Nice shot there, wow.
Interesting Warlock shot on the top, yeah.
Yeah, it basically took out all those satchels that were just sitting there. Some
this
flame arrows going down.
Oh.
There goes a nice push shot actually on those mauls. In the
he loses the Mort though.
Oh no! So many archers get taken out there. Murkerdon padding his ratios with that shot there. That's the problem.
Oh, this Warlock's gonna be good too. Yep.
Really close. Let's see. It's about an 8% spread, so a little bit more than it was a minute ago. But looks like TMNT does have the advantage at this point.
They gotta be a little bit worried though. There's still 2 mortars left.
Yeah, but looks like Funk is subbing for WTC as well. And oh my gosh, it was so close.
Ouch.
And the game is over as Thor's team WTC actually get balled, so to speak. So they lose all control of all 6 balls. But
that last shot that just took out his own friendly unit that was contesting that.
Yeah, I mean, if that hadn't happened, this could have been anyone's game, as WTC had a couple of morts. And
definitely.
TMNT, like, all of their units are, like, so close to death. It's ridiculous. so ridiculous end to this game. I mean, WTC victory was snatched from them at the end. It looked like they were kind of on the receiving end there. And somehow, some way, they sniped that lock. I think Funk sniped that, or somebody. Funk or Flatline. No, it was Funk. Funky managed to snipe that Warlock last second. And like you said, some friendly fire. I don't know, was that a Mortar Dwarf that died at the last second?
No, the Mortar Dwarf shot it. No, they still have both their morts up. I think it was just some melee.
Yeah, so I mean, I think if they hadn't lost control of all those balls, I think they would have had a shot there.
Yeah. So the other thing I got to point out, though, is that this is a great example of myth gore in this area here.
Yeah, definitely. It's a nice archive of the battle, the events that transpired.
Painted landscape.
Yeah. Right, exactly. It's unique each time. No 2 are the same.
Huh? That was a fun game though.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I can't get over that ending. I think WTC actually played really interestingly there. Even though they had archers, they managed to kind of keep themselves in the game till the end. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to overcome the rush. They just didn't have enough defending those balls. And stepped off them. That's the thing, is like, you can either save your units and retreat a little bit, or put them in harm's way and stay in the game. Sometimes you have to make a choice like that in these types of games, and so it's not everybody is aware of that. Also, that's the other thing. Sometimes you're playing to save your units and don't see the time or the situation your team is in. And you can end up losing the game for that reason. You there, Punk?
Yep, definitely.
Okay, I didn't know if I got disconnected or what. So anyway, looking at the player stats here, looks like GKG actually got stats for his team, 64 damage. That's not bad considering he healed all the whites.
Yeah, they had a good push on the bottom there at the start, definitely.
Yeah, in the south. He and Osmodian double teamed that. Did pretty well. And then on the other team, it looks like Shadow actually doing pretty well along with Kron.
Yep. And Shadow is Big Greta as well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a couple aliases. But yeah, I guess I forgot to mention that Funk and Flatline are subs, I think, for WTC this game, and I'm not sure if any of the
Yep.
other players are. I believe they are regulars on this team, and I don't think GKG has subs. I think everybody that's playing on GKG's team, he only has like 7 or 8 players, and I think everybody kind of knows to show up. Like
Yeah,
he didn't
that's
want.
the proper team now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think coming into this the Myth World Cup, he kind of made a point to choose players that he could kind of rely on. So I think that was a pretty good move. Even though not all his players are like super like star players, like five ballers like Thierry or Adrenaline, but I think sometimes it's better just to have reliable players that know the importance of showing up.
Yeah, I think at one point at the end of the QR, they had an opportunity to take more players, and they just elected not to.
Yeah, which is respectable.
Yep.
Definitely, they want to do. I think probably they wanted to if they were to if they're to win, they wanted to win on their own merits. They didn't want to on the original team makeup. They didn't want to draft help, assistance from other players. And
Hmm.
also too, another side effect is you're freeing up talent to go elsewhere. If there's other players, they can go on other teams. You're not snatching everything up for your team because there's a limited pool of players, every year. And
Yep.
so it's kind of a nice gesture, letting everyone else kind of get the first pick of
Yeah, I mean, not to get into the current form, topic, but this sort of sub-team matches
right, substitute
in the
players.
bottom bracket have been kind of stupid. So I definitely have
Yeah, it's
respect for
it's
these
kind of
guys
interesting.
fielding their proper team.
I mean, Zach Nafane said, it's good because means people who want to play get to play more, but at the same time, it
I mean,
kind of messes with the whole format.
if it's basically just Rabble games, like why do we even have a tournament for it, right?
Yeah, I think that's what Grim. I think it was one year he kind of said that too. Like he made his own side tournament where it was like anything goes.
That's
Do you
what the
remember
Myth
that?
World Series thing is, right? Like it's no different than those games if it's just a bunch of random people playing.
Yeah, it was like it was he. I mean, he was being sardonic, I think, but he was like, yeah, here's a anything goes tournament. You can break all the rules. There are no rules. You can just do whatever you want. And
Yep.
he did it as like a side tournament. I don't think anybody joined though. I might be misremembering that, but I seem to recall something like that. I think it was last year. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, that's gonna wrap up this game. I think we did 3 games today, and those are gonna be our games of the week for the DE2. And I guess we'll have to dive into DE3 since those games were recently played. So we'll see what happens with those.
Yep,
There's
indeed.
there's probably a lot more games to choose from with the DE3. There was some hiccups uh, with the DE2, which is why it took me a while to locate these games.
Yeah, some technical issues as
Technical
well.
difficulties, yeah. So hopefully D3 is a little bit more smooth. So anyway, thanks for joining me, Punk. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed watching these videos, and we'll see you in the next match.
Game over.
Yeah, they totally would have won.
Yeah. Well, they had 2 Morts and a bunch